gentlemen, I believe we got it this time. What you say? What you say, James?
Come on with it.
We gonna do it?
Come on with it.
All right, we gonna do it. When I was a little boy, I felt so alone.
From the first time I heard Paul, I really was struck by the breadth of what he loved and how much passion he put in it. I mean, he had the chops of somebody like Jimi Hendrix. He had a great, flexible voice. He could sing just about anything. I think that he's just a pure talent and a pure soulful genius as a singer and a guitar player.
Paul Pena is unlike anybody I've ever met before. He is very serious and at the same time very funny. He's very philosophical, but at the same time he's very down to earth.
Paul's spirit is music, and music is Paul. Well, Paul was born here in Harwich, Massachusetts, so this is the only house we've had, and this is the only place Paul lived, you know, in his early years.
I remember a time back in
It took a long time for us to realize that he was a blind child.
I mean, my father was a musician, a singer, and a guitar player. I learned a lot from him.
If his father was playing the guitar, he would touch it, get the vibrations. He just had a perfect ear.
In '69, I did the Newport Folk Festival. And I worked with B.B. King, John Lee Hooker, Muddy Waters, and T-Bone Walker.
I first met Paul when I was going to college in Cambridge, Massachusetts, back in about '68. And there had been, through the rumor mill of musicians and great artists around that area, word of this great legendary guitar player and singer-songwriter named Paul Pena.
I was running a production company, recording studio in Boston, Intermedia. My engineer played a tape for me. He said, "You've got to hear this, Gunther. This is unbelievably great." And within a few days, I called Paul. He came in, we did some more recording, and we began our relationship.
1971-72 was the era of singer-songwriters, and there was nobody who sang better or wrote more interesting songs than Paul. Producing somebody like Paul Pena is relatively easy because he knows what he wants. My job was to facilitate it. I called up a drummer, a great drummer named Gary Malabar, who I had met in Los Angeles, who came to play, and I called Harvey Brooks, the great bass player from Woodstock, to come, and myself on piano and Paul on guitar. That was the basic band.
We had big names on that record. Persuasions. We had Jerry Garcia and Earl Saunders on it. The two that Garcia was on is New Train and Venusian Lady. And, you know, when I wanted to do something of that genre, I just asked him. He said, "Sure, when?"
This album represents an amazing cross-section of musical styles that are performed with a level of brilliance that is very rare to find.
I think that's what you can hear on this record is somebody who's just an unbridled, unleashed, open-ended, soulful guy that doesn't need to be put in any categories of blues or rock or anything. He's just a great musician.
I don't think there's any doubt that Paul's career was about to take off in 1972-73 when we recorded what is now the New Train record. Of course, it didn't happen at that time.
Upon completion of the recording and the presentation of the finished album to the label, there were severe disagreements musically about the album. But the net result of it was a standoff between ourselves and the label, and the album remained in its master form for many years.
It was frustrating for all of us to find out that that record that we knew he was making, that we'd heard it was great, and all these guest stars were making appearances, and when it didn't come out, we were all surprised.
We put our hearts and souls into it, and then just boom, it got shelved.
I felt devastated, you know. It was a great record. It was obviously a great record. Everybody who had been working on it, Jerry Garcia, the Persuasions, everybody was so enthusiastic. Everybody loved Paul, you know, and we all knew this was a big break for Paul. But Paul was really much more philosophical than the rest of us. He really took it in stride.
Paul has an amazing ability and interest in life, and I think this is something that really supported him through very difficult times.
I made peace with the fact that the only way anybody was going to hear it is if I played it to them.
About 6 months after producing the Paul Pena record, I was producing a Steve Miller record. And at the sessions, we were talking about Paul Pena and how great it was. And Steve was interested. "Oh yeah, tell me about it." And he fell in love with jet airliner was a huge hit for Steve. Huge.
Red seat 42, just about to go insane. I've been down before.
We determined that it was time, that enough time had passed. That Paul's own physical illness and his own difficulties in his life at this time really warranted attempting to release this album to create a sense of closure and a sense of fulfillment.
Obviously, the record's coming out now in part because of Paul's celebrity from the movie Genghis Blues, which was nominated for an Academy Award.
Like so many heartbreaking stories in the music business, it was unfair and really a shame for the rest of us that could have enjoyed 20 years or 30 years of him celebrating a terrific career. So I think it was unjust, and this is a long time coming.
I was surprised. I think it's great. It means that labor wasn't all for nothing.
You know, this record coming out is a healing for us, a healing for the family. Paul was a gift. Paul is a gift. To share Paul with the world in itself is a gift. It's like unwrapping something every day. You never finish unwrapping that gift.
The release of this record makes me feel fantastic. This is a long-awaited dream.
It makes you realize that there isn't old music and new music. There's music that stands the test of time and music that does not. And clearly, Paul Pena's music does.
He's just great music. Just enjoy it and be glad we have him.
I hope there will be those that will enjoy it and maybe be able to get a little wisdom out of it.
Come on, help us find a way to season